You've driven over hundreds of bridges in your life, maybe thousands. And the whole time, every single one of those bridges was shaking. Not because something was wrong, but because engineers spent millions of dollars making sure it would. That's not a malfunction, that's the design. And the reason we figured that out traces back to one of the most dramatic engineering disasters ever caught on film. A bridge that literally danced itself into the water. What's wild is that most people know that story and still completely miss the lesson buried inside it. Today we're cracking open what's actually going on underneath your feet every time you cross a bridge. The hidden systems, the physics that can turn solid steel into a catastrophe, and the almost unbelievable way modern engineers decided to fight back. Let's get into it. Think about what a bridge actually looks like. Thick steel cables, reinforced concrete decking, bolts the size of your forearm. Everything about the visual screams permanence, screams don't move. And if you asked most people what a bridge is supposed to do, they'd say exactly that. Hold still, bear weight, be immovable. That instinct makes complete sense. We build bridges out of the most unforgiving materials we know. Concrete doesn't flex, steel doesn't bend. So the assumption writes itself. The stronger and more rigid you make a structure, the safer it is. Pack in enough mass, enough steel, enough brute force, and physics loses. The bridge wins. It's a completely reasonable way to think about it. It's also almost entirely wrong. Because here's what nobody tells you when you're standing on a bridge watching traffic roll past. Rigidity isn't the goal. Rigidity, pushed too far, is actually the enemy. The engineers who designed the bridge you're standing on weren't trying to build something that refuses to move. They were trying to build something that moves in exactly the right way. And the moment you understand why that distinction matters, the history of bridge engineering starts to look very, very different. Think about what a bridge actually is. It's a human object placed over a gap that nature put there on purpose. A river, a canyon, a bay, these aren't accidents. They are the result of forces pushing and pulling at the earth for millions of years. And then we come along, stretch a structure across that gap, and expect physics to just accept it. It doesn't. Wind hits a bridge from the side, from below, in swirling, unpredictable patterns. Traffic pounds down on it thousands of times a day. Temperature makes steel expand in the afternoon and contract at night, sometimes by several inches on a long span. And gravity is always there, constant, patient, pulling every component downward every single second. A bridge isn't resting peacefully. It's in a permanent negotiation with all of these forces at once. Early engineers understood the obvious threats: too much weight, too much wind. What took much longer to figure out was something far subtler. Structures don't just resist forces, they respond to them. Every bridge, every tower, every beam has its own physical personality, a specific rhythm at which it naturally wants to move. Engineers call it natural frequency. And once you know that term, the disaster coming next stops looking like a freak accident and starts looking almost inevitable. November 7th, 1940. A bridge in Washington state starts moving in a way no bridge should ever move. Not swaying slightly, not trembling under a load. Twisting, rolling, one side of the deck rising while the other drops, like a giant hand wringing it out. A car abandoned mid-span. A man crawling on his hands and knees because standing upright was impossible. And about 4 hours after it started, the whole thing tore apart and dropped into the water below. This was the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. And here's the part that should stop you cold. No catastrophic storm. The wind was moderate, the bridge wasn't overloaded, nothing hit it. It destroyed itself. What happened was resonance. The wind was hitting it at a rhythm that matched the bridge's own natural frequency. The forces fed each other, Every oscillation made the next one bigger, then bigger again. The bridge wasn't fighting the wind, it was agreeing with it. The whole collapse was captured on film, steel moving like a ribbon right up until it doesn't exist. They'd calculated loads, stresses, wind. What they missed was rhythm. One invisible number undid all of it. And once they knew wind could do this, the next question hit hard. What else could? Turns out the answer was almost everything. Here's what the Tacoma disaster forced engineers to reckon with. Every bridge, every tower, every skyscraper, each one has a natural frequency. Think of it like a fingerprint, the exact rate it wants to vibrate when something disturbs it. Hit that number and the structure doesn't resist the energy. It absorbs it, it amplifies it. If nothing stops the loop, it shakes itself to pieces. So the problem isn't just to build it stronger. Stronger doesn't save you if you're vibrating at the wrong frequency. Either design its frequency away from wind and traffic, or fight the vibration directly. That's where tuned mass dampers come in. Enormous counterweights, sometimes hundreds of tons, hung on cables and shock absorbers. When the structure sways, the damper swings the opposite way, canceling the motion before it builds. A controlled counter-wobble, physics fighting physics. Then the Millennium Bridge in London opened in the year 2000, celebrated. 2 days later, they closed it. Pedestrians unconsciously synced their footsteps to the sway. The more it moved, the more they synced, the more it moved. A bridge brought to its knees by people just trying to walk across it. Nobody had modeled for that. And that changes everything about how these systems get built. The silence you feel crossing a major bridge is one of the most expensive silences in the world. That calm is the product of frequency modeling, tuned mass dampers, wind tunnel testing, and decades of lessons written in catastrophe. None of it is visible, all of it is working. Every time a truck rolls past and you feel that familiar shudder, a damper is already pushing back, canceling the motion before it can build. This isn't theoretical physics sitting in a textbook. It's holding up real weight, real people, right now in real time. This engineering isn't behind glass in a museum. It's underneath you on your morning commute. Knowing the systems exist and understanding what a bridge actually is are two very different things. And once you see it the second way, you cannot go back. Think about what you now know is happening the next time you step onto a bridge. The steel is flexing, the cables are humming. Inside, a mass weighing hundreds of tons sways in the opposite direction to everything trying to shake it apart. Wind is pushing, traffic is pounding, thermal expansion is stretching every beam by fractions of an inch. And the bridge is answering all of it, constantly, invisibly, in real time. A bridge is not a frozen object. It never was. It's a living, frequency-tuned instrument, locked in a permanent negotiation with the physics trying to destroy it. The stillness you feel isn't the absence of forces. It's forces in balance, engineered balance. Bought at enormous cost, refined through disaster, and maintained every second you stand on it. So next time you feel that shudder from a passing truck, don't reach for your phone. You are watching the engineering work. That shudder isn't a warning. It's a bridge doing exactly what it was built to do.